It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal! Yes! Yes! Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
That is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbatkin. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football League podcast for week, what is it, 5, 6? I never know. 5,
Lost
right?
track.
It'll be 6, so it will
be 6.
It's episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. All right, so joining me on the program is Manny, the commissioner.
What's going on, everyone?
We'll see if Geese joins us. So he's too tired to do it tonight, and we'll just see how bored we get with ourselves as to whether or not I want to carry this out over 2 nights. So Geese, we'll see. Maybe he'll be here, maybe he won't. All right. I mean, it was an interesting week, though, and there's plenty to talk about, especially in free agency this week. Record-setting free agency. But yeah, let's take a look at last week's games. So it would have been week 5. There you go. All right. So here's the list O games. I mean, you know my rule that we have to save the fans game for last, which would be your game. So pick out of the rest of the smorgasbord as to which one you would like to cover first.
Let's start with the most lopsided game of the week, which was your game.
Ooh.
Against Jamie.
Yeah. All right.
Start with that.
I'm happy to start with that.
You nearly doubled his points.
I know. This was a very satisfying week. I think if I'm correct, he's neither one. I mean, like, I never picked myself, but Geese, I don't think, picked me last week either. I wasn't the lock of the week because I think Wakanda is his standard lock of the week nowadays. But yeah, this was a pretty. I mean, I was surprised. I thought I had pretty bad matchups too. I thought Murray going against Philadelphia, I thought that was going to be a higher scoring game. Mike Evans against Atlanta, I thought that was going to be higher scoring. Yeah, none of this happened. Okay. So, I mean, it started out with Hines getting injured on the first drive of the game, where he's knocked out. I mean, before I even turned on the game, I got the notification that his status, changed from healthy to questionable to out. And he was frozen at 1.8, and I'm like, great. Well, this week is over. This season is over. It's basically what I'm thinking at that point, because I'm like 1-3, so now I'm going to be 1-4, I think, at that point. So I'm like, oh God.
Well, what is the thing you say? You say that whoever does poorly on Thursday night usually wins, and whoever does well on Thursday night usually loses.
Yeah. So, and that was the case here. It started out, I guess, with the London game where he only got 2 points from his defense. And then it happened really quickly. So in the morning, I guess for you guys, the early game, I mean, everybody was getting double digits, and I hadn't even started McCaffrey, Kupp, or Andrews. They all played in the afternoon. I was blowing him out of the water. I think I had like 80 points before any of my big 3 started. And I'm like, well, this is looking pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the only one that wasn't doing well was Tannehill. But other than that, I mean, Myers had 24, Wilson 20. I mean, the New England defense, I mean, they had 22. It was nice. And then by the time that the afternoon happened, I mean, like, it was basically, so the interesting thing was, the game of the week out here was the Rams versus the Cowboys. So I mean, I hate when that happens because I have to choose. Do I want to watch, NFL ticket? Do I want to take out my laptop or whatever? So I just and Geese was watching that game anyway. So I just let him poorly announce it to me, which if you ever are on the phone with Geese during a game, he makes it sound so over dramatic, like
Yeah.
on like a nothing play, like he's like, oh, he's hunched over on the sideline. It's like, yeah, he's getting a drink of water, dude. Like, like what, like it's not,
Cooper Kupp is hunched over on the sidelines. He was rooting for the Dallas defense, so he was happy about it.
yeah, he's like giddy about all these things that happen, and so you get a totally warped perception of the game. I mean, fortunately, I had like red zone on, so I knew that if anything, big would have happened. Because that's basically where their entire game was. But so I kept on. I think the Carolina game. I was watching that, and then I was watching. I guess the Baltimore game, right? That would have been in the after. Whatever.
No, the Baltimore game was the night game.
Oh yeah, so I didn't watch that. I definitely didn't watch that.
Probably we're seeing some of the Arizona Philly game.
Yeah, the Arizona Philly game I was watching for Kyler Murray to see if he was doing anything. I mean, yeah, just
yeah, just
I mean,
a
it was
great week for you. I mean,
I know, and Higgins, I don't know what happened with him. He didn't play. I didn't. I barely paid attention. And by the way, and my favorite part of the game, this was my favorite part. They show the highlight of Tony Pollard running for like a huge long touchdown, and it's the one week where he doesn't do the committee and plays the wrong guy in the committee, doesn't do the committee, plays Dobbins, and Pollard's the one with the touch. Oh, it was just, it couldn't have gone better.
Yeah.
Yeah. 50 points. You could have tacked on the entire 50 points and like we just added it. His entire bench.
Still would have lost.
Yeah. He still would have lost by like 30. So,
yeah, overall a great week for you. I mean, when the defense goes for 20 plus, like,
yeah,
I'd be hard pressed to find a single game in the 3 years I've been in the league where the defense scored 20 plus and lost, and the team lost.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, well, and the other thing was that I haven't seen a shutout in so long. I mean, that was the other thing, like, because it could have ended at any point. I mean, because I think what is it, 3 or 4 points get knocked. I mean, that would have still put 18. It would have been nice. I mean, once they got the sack fumble recovery for a touchdown, you already know that you're going to be plus 10 anyway.
Right.
They could have thrown a garbage time anything, and so
yeah,
that was nice. Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
Yeah. Great week for you. Well, you're back in it.
I know. This is the kind of game that when I drafted this team that I had hoped for. Like, I hoped that Kupp, McCaffrey, and Andrews would get their points, and then maybe somebody else would contribute. They have. And Russell still sucks, but I didn't play him, so what do I need?
Well, you had, more than substantial contributions from the other guy. You don't expect 24 from Myers, and you don't expect...
I do. I expected of all my players.
Okay. All right. Oh, excuse me. All right.
I expected from Hines. Actually did expect it from Hines this week.
Okay. I did once spend $89 for him on the waiver wire, so maybe I would expect it from Hines too.
Was Hines the guy?
What?
Was Hines the guy that you did?
Yeah. I think my first year, he went off on week 1, and I think I spent a ridiculous amount of money for some loser.
A ridiculous amount of money, half of what the new record is.
Yeah,
not even half, probably.
I think it may have it's 69 or 79, something in that vicinity. But
I'm trying to remember what the previous record was. Oh, we could get into a discussion about that later. All right. Well, let's just go on to the next game.
All right.
About the
great win for you. You're back in it.
Yes.
So congrats.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get into the Hagglers and Gronky Kong.
All right. Well, you probably have more insight into this one than I do because
I didn't see many of the early games because I was working. But this was definitely a game I was following. Allen just went nuts. And he had those 2 bombs to Gabriel Davis, which definitely put a smile to my face as well. But Allen just had terrific game. I was expecting it against the Steelers. I thought he would pick it up because their offense kind of has been suspect the last couple of weeks.
Well, you had the weather in Baltimore, so
weather in Baltimore. I don't think they were that good. No, was that the weather game? Yeah.
Last week was Baltimore. I think 2 weeks ago. I don't remember who they played because
Oh, they played the
that's when I was.
Dolphins, and they had
Oh, that
like
was yeah.
most of the offensive possessions, but they didn't do anything really. So, yeah, I mean, I expected the Pittsburgh Steelers were probably the worst team in the league, so I expected that. 43 points. I mean, that's excellent. Hill, was good, but they have a quarterback situation with no Tua, and then Bridgewater went out. So
And then didn't Hill like also come up
yeah,
with
something at the
something?
end.
I don't
Something at
remember.
the end, yeah. Zay Jones, that um Jaguars team, that was false hype. I mean, they won their first two games, but as soon as they lost that 14-0 lead to the Eagles, they just completely fell face first. I mean, they're terrible now.
I've had Zay Jones also. I mean, like, yeah, I just
Um,
don't. I don't know with that team.
yeah. Singletary, I mean, I know Geese was like excited with him, like how he's going to be part of the offense, and Allen was dumping it off. If Allen is dumping it off to Singletary in the backfield, they're not doing what they want to do.
I know.
So
I just don't. I mean, well, look, it's. I mean, I was on the phone with Geese for this game. I'm on them with him for a lot of these games. It's really funny to listen to. Like, I mean, first of all, I have a very different. It's weird. I wouldn't say a different philosophy than him because he has a different philosophy than himself even years ago. But like it comes and go. But he's just very giddy about certain people, and I just like I told him all throughout the week I would have been playing Ramondre Stevenson. I would play Ramondre Stevenson. They're playing Detroit. Whatever. And now, granted, I did not know that an injury was going to come, but it
yeah.
19.5. So
I mean, if Singletary was on someone else's team, would he think differently than if he was if Singletary was on his team?
I don't think I think that he falls in love with his players, and it's like it's almost like teenage love. Like he just doesn't see their faults or anything else like that. But also like if they're not doing well, he sees all of their fault and like just we're done.
Right.
So
You're done. Yeah.
it's like a hyper reaction to everything all the time. So I mean, like he was ready to like if you remember the first game, like on the first drive, he was ready to get rid of Josh Allen because he threw like an incomplete pass or something ridiculous. So
well, I mean, at work we call him all or nothing Lutsky because I mean, that's what he is. I mean, I've never met someone so like polar opposite, as him, where he can either work 85, 90 hours a week and just kill himself, work 14-hour shifts every day, or he just doesn't want to work at all.
Right.
So it's the same thing with these guys. Like either Singletary is the best thing since sliced bread because he caught a couple screen passes from Josh Allen, or he's absolute dog shit. But nothing in between.
Yeah, and also his week, his work week depends. Like, didn't you say like when he goes into work, it really depends on how his fantasy did?
I hope he wins every week. This week I was a little bit torn because Gronky Khan is my best friend, but and he was kind of fighting to get back in that playoff picture. But I want him to win almost every week because if he loses, then he's in a bad mood at work.
Who cares if he's your best friend? All of these guys are my friend. I want them all to lose badly. If I could have ties and me just win every, I don't care. I don't want success in the center for my friends.
All right, but we're both. He's newer to the center. He's just getting acclimated. He's paid his dues. He's so
he's paying them now.
True.
You haven't paid your dues until you.
I wouldn't say I'm rooting for him, but he does it the right way. I think
I think he does. I mean, it's been very interesting to watch his season this year versus last year. I mean, I still think that he's so on top of everything, and yet, I mean, but also, by the way, Whalers has been on top of everything, or the Trash Band he's always on top of everything, but he's had no success either. It's very interesting to me what's going on this year. I think you know.
I mean, we'll get into this later, but didn't the Whalers have the $150 man last week?
Yeah, which apparently he drafted him or something, or he got him like he's had him the entire season, and he finally just let him go. It's hilarious, but yeah,
Really hilarious. Yeah. So maybe this is just the year that he's just not destined to do anything. But
I feel like it's a like it's a relax year, just stay or have patience. Like the teams that have had patience have been rewarded, whereas the teams that have been just doing all of these moves,
and credit to Geza, that might be why he's 3-2, because
I think
before
it
he
is.
used to not play the patient way, and
Yeah.
now he's playing the patient way. That being said, I don't think 5.6 from Singletary and 6.5 from Edwards-Helaire is going to make
I
him
mean, let's face it,
more patient. But,
the defense really helped him here. So, and then also Lamar only got 16 points.
right.
I mean, look, Gronky Khan got a regular decent performance out of Samuel and Godwin. I mean, Najee Harris has not been good, and we were just talking about this before the broadcast. I mean, I mean, the way I described him is he's an okay player on a bad team, and that's just how
I think he's a good player on a bad team. I think that team is really bad. And I think
mean,
the
I agree
quarterbacks,
they're a bad team.
like the offensive line has always been bad, even with Roethlisberger,
Yeah.
but it's worse this year. And then like their quarterbacks are incompetent. So
Yeah.
you add that with, the running back is useless when all that is bad,
Yeah, but I mean,
So,
at least what would always happen in Pittsburgh. So there's two things always going for the Pittsburgh running back, going back to James Conner, was that they would always get a lot of dump offs. So it would be, it would be a lot of PPR points that they would get. Which I mean, like, they're not even doing that, like where they're just dumping it all. Like, they're just not doing anything. It's just a terrible team. I mean, I watched, I was there live, and it is bad. It's just bad. They're just bad.
it's bad.
Chubb has been having a great year, so he
Yes.
got his points. Higbee did well, and Kamara finally got all those points in that game for 23. But one of the big differences in this game was the Dallas defense. I mean, you talked about the New England defense. Geese was like so happy that Dallas actually, because on the last play of the game, he's like, I got more points than your defense or something. I was like,
He
what do
so
you like
on that
okay.
strip sack at the end?
Right.
They started with the game with a strip sack fumble for a touchdown, and then they ended the game with a strip sack. I mean, that defense is legit. That's a great defense.
And that's like about the difference in the game right here. So it's like 135 to 112. What is that?
Really, just the defense and Allen, really. I mean, it's not a great performance otherwise. I mean, Edwards-Helaire was pretty much Edwards hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and he loves him too. But yeah. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, those are the. It's ironic, is so like when Gronky Kong has been having these games where Lamar has been the one that's going to be keeping him in when he, I mean, he's 1-4, but the one, which I know all too well, was because of Lamar. And then also, like, even the games that he's been really close, it's been because Lamar kept him in. He had like a little bit of a taste of his own medicine, I guess, in that, the opposite quarterback is what kept Geese in along with the defense. And that's really
Gronky Kong has had close games all year long. He's just kind of been on the unlucky end of it. Like, he was telling me how, Greg Joseph, like this week he only had 1 point, but like I think missed 2 50-yard field goals last week.
Oh yeah, two 50-yard miss. All right, that's 2 points though only.
It's 2 points, but if you deduct the fact that if he made them, that's 5 points each. So that's really a 12-point swing.
Yeah, that's true.
There, and then I think he missed an extra point in addition. So it's really like a 14-point swing just with a kicker.
Yeah.
So
that has been a very interesting role. I really enjoy it. The only tweak I would maybe do is on the field goals. Like, so if you miss like a close field goal, maybe you lose a little bit more points, and the further away you get, maybe lose less or something. I don't know. It's really interesting, like, because you're like with the extra, because my kicker's missed an extra point, and you're just like biting your fingernails the entire time. I mean, like, it's weird just to be so nervous on the extra point. What?
Before you wouldn't even think about an extra point. You
Right,
just
I
like
know.
kind of switch to the other to the next game or
Right.
something.
Like I'm so nervous every time that there's an extra point attempt because because the best that can happen is that you get 1 point. The worst is that you get through it. Like it's just really interesting and it's fun. It makes it fun. I mean
Makes
I
it
like
fun. Makes it
yeah.
fun.
No, I definitely enjoy having, punishment for missed cakes. And I don't know. I don't even know if we need any changes to it, but it would. But I definitely want to keep the at least the essence of having the kicker be able to lose
I
points. It
agree.
really makes it.
I like it. Yeah.
The specifics. If we want to tweak it next year, we could see. But I don't know. It's fun. It's definitely fun. Um. Yeah. All right. Let's go on to the next game.
All right.
Um. Let's go on to this snooze fest. Clever name pending versus the Panthers. So this was the lock of the week, as it always is for Geese, and yeah, it came true. I mean, this was just first of all, you have the starter Dalvin Cook going against Alexander Madison, the backup of the game. You're already behind the 8 ball in that one. I mean, and this, by the way, is with Geno Smith getting a 30. Like, would like he's. I mean, this was closer than anticipated. So you get the extra 8 points from Mahomes over Geno Smith. Deontay Johnson actually gets less than Chase, which you would expect. So he beats him in the receiving category, and then the running backs just kill him. I mean, Jacobs with 30 points and 26 for Cook. Now Madison being the backup, that's going to do that well. And Mostert is, I mean, so hockey definitely needs a running back. They both
got 18 from the kicker from Folk. 18.
I know. I know. -1 from the defense. Then you also like the tight end. So I mean, Fryermuth got injured. I think it was a concussion. I don't remember, but he left. And then you had Waller get 0. What happened? Was there an injury in that? I didn't watch that game.
Yeah, I think he had a thigh.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of these teams had to win. I mean, the interesting thing is, so Clever Name Pending, they started out really well, and then they had that like 1 point loss. Was it to you? Second game of the season. Who was it to? They lost by like 1 point. It totally changed the complexion of their season.
It may have been Nick and Jamie. No?
That's possible. Anyway, so that changes that. But now they've recovered and they're back to 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Conda. I mean,
Penny is out now.
That's true. Penny is out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but he still has Kareem Hunt. So I mean, he's still got he still should be okay.
Was this Wakanda's first game over 100?
Very possibly. Well, let me do a quick. So week 1, no, he scored 122 in week 1.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know if he has since then.
I don't think he scored over 100.
Yeah, 70 in week 2, week 3, 76, week 4, 80. So yeah, it's the first time he scored over 100 in a long time, and that's on the back of 18 points from his kicker. Because had the kicker not gotten 18 points, he would have been at 99. So yeah,
true. Yeah.
I mean, they're just bad this year. They're just bad.
Yeah, it's just a bad year.
Yeah.
It's like the Steelers.
Yeah. All right. I don't think there's anything else to say about this game.
It was the highest scoring snooze fest of the year.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, let's talk about another snooze fest and with another team that did not make the
100
threshold. Just missed the 100. The Trash Pan is another team that's, I mean, first of all, Bridgewater going down, really. I mean,
yeah, when your quarterback gets nothing, it's tough. It's tough to win.
I just don't. I mean, like, he's still waiting for Dak to come back. I don't know. I mean, so Justin Jefferson gets 30. Kirk, who he traded for, who we all talked about last week, got 2. Aaron Jones gets 10. Gibson with 6.9, 20. So 27 for Lockett. Other than that, not many highlights going on over there. And then on the other side, Rogers gets 20. I mean, it's a bunch of, 20s, so Rogers, Diggs, Williams, Pierce got 20. Melvin
Pierce
Gordon
has
gets.
quietly been pretty good. Look at Pierce's stats.
Oh, he's been fantastic all season long.
He's
I mean,
actually
or at least for the last 3 weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, no. And Hawkinson with only 1.6 against New England, but other than that, Pittman with 10.9, 16 for his kicker, 15 for his defense. I mean,
It's a good week for the Lightning Rods.
he's had a bunch of good weeks. I mean, he's 4-1 at this point, and he's he's quietly been having a very good season
with a team that's on paper not that great. I mean, now he's lucky to have Melvin Gordon with Javante out, so he's the main running back.
Sure.
Pierce has been good.
I mean, Mike Williams is good.
Definitely the number 1 receiver.
Pittman's the number 1 receiver there too.
So it's kind of like a quietly, he has a good team, but it's flying under the radar.
He's solid at every position.
Yeah, he is.
He's just very solid at every position.
And what does his bench look like?
Does his bench look like? He's got Brady sitting on the bench. He's got David Montgomery, by the way, who came back and he didn't play. I mean, just a really solid team.
Yeah.
Close to the other side.
Yeah, it's just full of like trash. Like it's just like the
pandas.
Yeah, he's going through the trash can, but he's going after the wrappers instead of the snacks. Like
yeah, I just it's too much. I mean, he's just doing too much. I mean, when we get to that part,
take a deep breath, Whalers. It will be okay. Just breathe.
Yeah, I know. Like
you don't need every player in the league.
That's what it seems like. It just seems like every player that's available is picked up. It's just a constant churning there. Like to a level that I haven't ever. What?
You can only play 12 guys or 11 guys?
Yeah, or whatever.
Not even
1,
4,
2, 3,
9 guys.
5,
nine players. You can only play 9 players and 8 players with a defense. So
yeah. I mean, like I said, it's the exact opposite of having. He's had no patience for it. And look, and he's getting to the point. And I've said, look, you cannot count the trash pandas out.
You cannot.
They have come back. First of all, there's a ton of season left. And maybe he will land on that person, but enjoy, just enjoy what you have. like there's something to build off of.
Yeah, I know. It's just
take a moment to assess how you're playing. You don't even have time to figure out who's like even
when I send him trade offers, there's no assessment. It's just reject.
But I'm saying, like, with players, like, for players that I have, like, some maybe, I know their strengths, their weaknesses. I get to know them. I know when they're going to be good. I know what situations they'll be good in. Where I can fill them in because I really take the time to when I get a player. For the most part, I mean, there's some players that I take on, a flyer on to the extent that you can.
Yeah,
but it's like for example, even Russell Wilson, he sucks. But I knew he was going to have a good game against the Raiders, because I could tell, okay, this is going to, because the Raiders suck, and I knew that he would have the capability. But then I knew on a short week against whoever they played on that, Indianapolis, I knew it was going to be terrible. So I knew to take him out, and then, but I'm just saying, like, take some time to get to learn these play, like. I just don't know. Or don't. I don't know. Or just constantly churn and I don't know. I mean, that's worked for people in the past, and the year that Geese won, that's how he won his championship. Is he just threw everybody in the garbage
Yeah.
can, and Joe Flacco was the championship quarterback. I mean, I mean, it looks like he's trying to replicate that with Teddy Bridgewater. I don't even know who was going to be picked up off the after trash can this. I don't know. I mean, who even knows who's going to be on this team today, let alone tomorrow? I mean, I'm constantly getting notifications. Trash pandas do this. Trash pandas do that. They drop this guy. They pick this guy up. They put this guy. Okay.
He's just hit all the wrong buttons, even with this trade, this Shafto trade with Zamunda last week. Like Zamunda won that trade this week. There's no two ways of putting it. He won the trade.
Yeah.
I mean, Jones and Kirk had 12 points.
Well,
and I think who was it? Dobbs and Devontae Adams with those big bombs, in the Monday night
for
game.
this week.
He had like 37 points.
We'll see for the season. Also, we'll see how long Adam. Not that obviously he didn't have a crystal ball, so he wouldn't know. But yeah.
That was a pretty light shove to be charged with assault for. I think that cameraman needs to
Was that actually
down a little bit? Yeah, I think he got charged with assault or something.
I mean, technically assault, but
Technically, but like, I don't know.
He'll plea it down and whatever. I mean, but then the problem is with the league. Whatever.
Yeah. It was a pretty light shove. It wasn't like he punched him or really shoved him. I mean, it's just
he pushed the camera, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's like I don't know. Whatever. We're not going to get into a legal discussion here.
No, I'm certainly not. All right, so yeah, let's go to the Zamunda versus Tilla trade and look at the other half of that trade. So yes, so he has Devontae Adams who gets 27. He plays him. Dobbs doesn't play him. Got 5.9. So I mean, that half was kind of even with the Kirk half, which whatever. I don't know why he's not playing Smith. I mean, hasn't
the thing is that he has 3 good receivers.
He does, but he's also playing the wrong one at the wrong time. So he plays
every week. He's played the wrong one at the wrong time. I was discussing this with Gronky Kong.
Yeah,
I mean, he's played the wrong one every week. I mean, you have to play Samuel and Adams every week. There's no, no two ways about that, right?
But I'd still play Devonta Smith, especially against Arizona. Come on,
Arizona, yeah.
I mean,
and Waddle. If Waddle had Tua, then yes. But
yeah, that's the other thing. Why is he playing Waddle when Bridgewater? I just don't even understand that move in general. I don't think that it changes. I mean, how much does it change the game? -5 plus 13 essentially. 9-29. It makes it a closer game. But he still doesn't win if he does that little thing. I mean, there's no other moves that I would have made in here.
How the hell is Tillett 5-0? How the hell with this team?
He's had the fantastically easy schedule.
I mean, I look through his players and it's like there's no one that I would really want to have on my team. I look at the point totals. I want those point totals. But looking at the players,
you want his point totals have been terrible. This is the best point total he's had all season.
Yeah, this week, yes. But looking at the players, there's no one who I would really want to have on my team.
Well, what I will say is that maybe for the starter, but there have been players that I have had my eye on, and then I go to look at them, and I'm like, why? They're on Tillett? There are certain players that, Alec Pierce, for example. I had him earlier. I dropped him. I was like, oh, maybe I'll go get him back. And he was already gone. He was already on Tillett getting 16 points. So, there's somebody else. I think that we'll look at the transactions, but there was somebody else that he had that he made the move for. And, I mean, he's paying attention. He's doing, he's building. I mean, here's the thing: when you are 5-0, there's a lot of wiggle room right there.
There is. He can lose the next 2 weeks and still be in the playoff picture. So
He could lose the next 5 weeks and still be in the playoff.
Yeah, I know. 5-0 is really good.
Yeah. So I mean, we used to say what 7 wins. I mean, I think it's 8 now because they have the extra week in the season. Like you really like you want to avoid having 8.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, he had no points from his kicker and his defense, and he still had 137.
which is how I mean, it's unbelievable. So Fournette gets 35, 25 from Wentz, who was really good at the beginning of the season. He picks him up, then he goes down in points. Metcalf gets 17, 20 for Cooper, Mixon with an okay 18. But yeah, I mean, once again, his opponent really doesn't do much. I mean, like, so Eckler has a massive game and Adams has a great game. And other than that, low double digits for Samuel and Lawrence, but then, nothing else there to really to compete with it. So, I mean, as Geese has been calling his opponents, dead flies falling into the spider web. It's not exactly that this time. I mean, the fly was maybe alive and struggling in the spider web, but that's basically what happened in this game too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but this at least was a respectable point. I mean, the point totals before this are absurdly low that he's had so far. So week
Yeah.
1, I mean, he's been in double digits, but so week 1 he had 115 points. Week 2 he had 96 points. He beat you with 96. You were the dead fly that week.
That was terrible.
Week 3, 107. This is the point totals you want. Week 4, he had 110.
Yeah.
Week 5 is this last week, and he gets 136. This is the first time,
He should be one of the 1-4 teams.
He should, yes, if that.
If that.
This was the first time that this point total justifies a win.
Yeah.
The rest of them were god awful, but he's 5-0, and all he has to do at this point is really just
win a couple games.
Yeah, just coast.
3 games.
Coast it.
Honestly, I would want to play him in the playoffs with that roster, though.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I don't like. I mean, but here's the other thing, by the way. So he's done all this, and that was pre-buys. Now, who knows what kind of dead flies from the buys are gonna fall into his spider web? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, good for him for being 5-0.
Exactly. All right, and then that leads us to the last game, your game.
This was a very satisfying week for me as well.
Yes, satisfying for all of us.
Yeah, it was nice to get Eugene's first loss for the season. I thought, the first 5 minutes, it was 105, and I get a notification on my phone, 96-yard touchdown to Gabriel Davis. And then I checked the score, 16 points on one play.
Yeah.
And my projection skyrocketed to 82%. The week didn't even start. My projection was okay. So I was like, okay, this is a little bit inflated. Let's calm down. Let's get through this game this week. And Henry was extremely impressive again. I think he's really picked it up. I've been pleasantly surprised with him. Mm-hmm. He's back to being the horse that he's been the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Very disappointed with Jamal Williams doing absolutely nothing against New England. I basically wasted a no Swift game, which sucks, but it is what it is. And then who else was in the 1:00 window? Thielen, I believe. Yeah. So
yeah, he was.
I didn't see that game because I was at work, but it's just Kirk Cousins is so inconsistent. It's I don't know if he's even going to look towards Thielen or just go to Jefferson.
But that's one of the things, because you've had him for all season. You kind of, which is what I was alluding to earlier, was that you'll learn. You'll learn about this guy, more than just having a play that you have for a week.
But then there are teams that cover double cover Jefferson and then leave the other guys open, right, would allow Thielen to get points and targets. But then there are bonehead teams like Chicago who don't cover Jefferson. So, and if he's single covered, he gets past the coverage, and then they
Right.
just throw deep to him. So,
But I'm saying
and
that these are the kinds of things that you're learning because you had Thielen also. Not that I'm
right,
saying that he's great, but you'll at least maybe in the future you'll be like, this idiot team is not going to be able to cover Jefferson.
but
I'm going to
it's
sit
kind of
Thielen.
it's kind of counterintuitive because like when he plays a bad team, you would expect him to do better, but it's actually Thielen does better when he plays better teams because
Yeah,
the
but
better
that's the kind of
double cover.
right. But that's the kind of information that you have that you gain from holding on to a player for a while, and like so maybe you'll go, okay, this is a pretty tough matchup. I should play Thielen. Or this is a really easy matchup. I better, sit
Right.
him. Whereas if you have the guy for 5 minutes out of the trash can and then dump him and pick him up twice in a day, you have no idea what these people are,
Yeah.
going to do.
Very true.
Which is why the
Yeah.
patience is working this year.
Definitely.
And you had patience with Derrick Henry. He sucked. You kept with him, and now he's been really good. I mean, like legit. And I've watched his games. He's legit been playing really well.
28 carries one game, 26 another game. One game he was in the passing game, he was involved. So yeah, I mean, he's terrific.
And frankly, he almost had another. I mean, he ended up getting the rushing touchdown, but he almost had a receiving touchdown, which I would have liked for Tannehill, but he fell short, like right at the micrometer line, and then just banged it on the next play. But either way,
yeah, no, he's amazing, and he's just so physical. He's by far the most physical running back in the league. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And he's still able, and he's still able to do that. All right. So we've talked a lot about you now,
Well, I also want to get to Davis as well.
Oh,
so
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Davis, besides his 32 points, I'm not that impressed because it's basically just two big bombs. He didn't get many targets. He's really like a boomer bust kind of receiver, So he's been disappointing besides the 32 points. So yeah, I mean,
we'll see this week. He's playing Kansas City. He's going to relive last year's playoff game. Maybe we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah,
we could talk about that in the next segment. But we've not talked about. I mean,
let's talk about Eugene. So his team.
I know the thing that he loves. His ears just perked up. The narcissist hasn't heard any of the rest of this. He's been waiting.
I was nervous. I was nervous in the 9:30 game because Barkley has been really good this year, and Green Bay has not been able to stop the run.
All right.
So I was very nervous about him. I feel like Barkley could have had a way better game. He could have I think he left a lot of points on the table in that game. Like he could have easily had a 30-point game. So I kind of dodged a bullet there, I feel.
But then again, Breece Hall, 27. He almost did get a 30-point game.
I know. I was fucking pissed with him. I mean, I was like, what's wrong with this Miami defense? Like, Jesus. I mean, and the Jets were lighting it up.
Yeah.
Lighting it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nonsense. So yeah, and then I started to get nervous because as the 1 o'clock games ended, I had a pretty substantial lead, but then he had Jalen Hurts going. He had twofers with AJ Brown, and then he also didn't he have someone else? No, I think that's it. But those guys can go off, Yeah,
I mean, fortunately for you, Mumra only got 5.8. I mean, because New England just smothered them there.
Right.
And
I had in the 4 o'clock games, I think I had Miles Sanders, who I really needed a touchdown from. I felt like I needed it. But I had Kelsey going in the Monday night game, and I also had Burrow and I think just Burrow in the evening game. So I feel like if I was down by like 40 points, I'd still have a good shot. And then the 4 touchdowns by Kelsey just, put the icing on the cake. I was only down by 2 going into Monday night, so I wasn't concerned, but
it was pretty clear by late Sunday that you were going to win this game.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So AJ Brown had a bad game. Everett and Amon St. Brown, and then mean, it was. I mean, it was pretty much a wash between the special teams with you guys. It's not even the. I mean, I don't think that this was really that bad a game. I mean, it's you got 30s, whereas he got 20s, I think is really the difference. Like Gabriel Davis got 32, 33 for Kelsey. He gets 27 for Hall, 27 for Hurd. So it's that little bit of difference in points, and then that really starts to add up. I mean, because Thielen and Brown were a wash. I mean, but Davis doubles Sutton right there.
Yeah, and the flex kicker and defense were pretty much a wash too. So
Yeah.
it's
so Kelsey really just, I mean, that's I mean, but then you have Hall versus Williams. I mean, he outplayed him but I mean, so you take Henry and Hall, that washes itself out, and then Barkley does a little bit better, but Kelsey just did so much better than Everett that's really where the difference is. So
Sutton for a no touchdown game to have 12 points out of Thursday is not terrible. Like.
Yeah.
I was. Who does he have on his bench? I was surprised he didn't start someone. He had Cooks in there, and then he put Mumra in there. But I mean, Cooks didn't do much better.
They got the same. I mean, point of a difference.
Right.
I mean, look, and he has a strong. This is interesting. I mean, he's got strong running backs, which he added to, in theory, this week, which we'll talk about coming up. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll get into a discussion about the trades and stuff, or the transactions. But like, it's just interesting that the one that obviously we're going to talk about went to his team, and that's that but we'll talk about it on the other side of the break. Let's take a break. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do just a brief period where we're going to cover the transactions, and then we'll take another break, come back with Geese tomorrow. But all of this will happen seamlessly for all of you viewers, and then Geese will go over the second half of the game. So let's take a look at these transactions. I don't think that's not, is that no, that's the wrong window. I almost gave you my results from my medical exam, which showed that I don't have gonorrhea. Where's this window? I can't find it. I definitely can find the non-gonorrhea or chlamydia. Don't worry, I don't have either. There it is. Okay. They did it all. It wasn't like I suspected that I had it. It was just the whole thing. And they were like, "Do you want to test for that too?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." And then so that was included in there, and it's totally fine. Neither in the back or the front. I was like, "There's no chance that it happened anyway," because I haven't done anything lately anyway. Moving on. So here's the transactions. All right. Well, the big one, obviously, is Kenneth Walker the third. So, all right. So
King Walker the third.
Yeah. So Gronky Kong bid 8. Tillett went for 7. Bid 17. You bid 46. The Trash Pandas bid 74. The 1603ers bid 90, and the winning offer was 150. I mean,
I thought I bid more, but I thought it was 66. But whatever, I wouldn't have gotten it anyway.
Oh, I didn't get him at
90 on Tuesday morning. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, obviously he was in high demand because of the Penny injury. I thought the interesting thing is I thought Geese would just bid through the roof, because he usually bids through the roof for these guys. But he didn't even put in a bid at all. He didn't put it. Did he put it? He didn't put any bids in this week. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously Well, so first of all, I think it's interesting that Eugene spent this much, because he really doesn't spend that much money at all. He did a couple of years ago, I guess. He doesn't spend any money in the actual auction. In the free agent auction years ago, he did spend, I think, like 70 something on Chuba Hubbard, which helped him, and now he's doing it on this. I think, obviously, I'm not gonna. I don't really have
He
that.
has what? How much does he have left? $50.
No, I think it's like 30 after that. So
30.
what does he have left? He has left. He will have 14.
14. See, I mean, he obviously really wanted him, and
I'm curious if he
you
wanted
would
it.
think if you put 100 down, don't you think it's like a 99% chance that you would get him? So personally, if you really, really want him, I'd put 100 down, but I wouldn't go 150. I mean, that's a little bit overboard because now you literally have no more free agency money. I just don't think I think the putting a lot down was smart. I don't think putting that much down was smart.
I mean, obviously it was though. I mean, like I put 90. I mean, and there's been people who've bid 105. I mean, you don't know in this league. We're crazy. I mean, if you want it, look, as far as the bid, I respect the bid. We're nuts in this league. If you really want somebody, go ahead. I don't know if, I mean, Hawkinson was 91. Who was bid? I mean, would you bid for Naeem Hines that year? We were just talking about this.
I also put 25 for Jarek McKinnon.
Yeah, so I mean, you never know. I'm just saying he wanted him and he got him. So I have no problem with the bid amount. I mean, the question is Kenneth Walker?
I just think, there's a lot of season left to be played. There's a lot of season, right? So I just think spending all your money on one guy, I mean, he's a good guy to go after because you don't get this kind of situation very often, but
also I'm very much convinced that Eugene, certainly he listens to a decent amount of podcasts besides us. I mean, like actual podcasts, professionals. And if, to a T, every one of those shows was saying spend all of your fab on Kenneth Walker. And I think that he's very, I mean, look, I mean, I've one of my, and I don't even want to call it criticisms, but one of my critiques, I guess, of Eugene, and it's not a criticism, is that he very much does what the standard is. Like he goes to, for example, he goes to get players that are above ADP. Like, and so I guess where in the past some of the criticism of that is that there is no ADP because it's just an auction in our league. So it doesn't matter what their average draft position is. You can get them above, but you still, and like I said, I don't think this applies this year because I think that he drafted a very good team, not just an above ADP team. But I think he's very much influenced by, he very much runs a standard team, which is why he often has a lot of success. So this is just in line with those moves. So but he doesn't like to spend money, whether it's fictional or in real life. I know he doesn't like to spend money. So it's interesting to me that he spent that much for this. But I don't. I mean, if this is the guy that he wants, the question I have, and here's where, I mean, and I know that the consensus, and look, I bid 90, so I mean, who am I to say anything? But let's look at Richard Penny's numbers so far this year. Okay, so his numbers so far this year: 8, 1.5, 7.9. Then he had the 1 week against Detroit, which Detroit have been very high scoring games. He gets 28.7. And then you really can't count this one because that was, during the injury. But other than the Detroit game, he didn't even crack double digits. And this is the spot at which Walker is taking over. And that's, and he's the number one. So, and then the other criticism that I've heard from many of these, from the pundits that have been talking about him is that he's not really a pass catching back. So, and like I said, I bid a ton of money on him too. So, I mean, take this with a grain of salt. But if you're just looking at the other side of it, is this the guy that you should spend $150 on? That's the question. Clearly, he thinks it is. And I'm just saying, is he? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But he wanted him, and that's the way to get him. Bid that much.
Definitely. Definitely.
As far as the other ones, Hayden Hurst went for $4 without bidding a clever name pending by 3. Benjamin, who is, I've had him before. So the problem I had with Benjamin, I had him previous, and then Williams ended up playing. So this is when Connor got injured. Now Williams is injured as well. So Benjamin goes for 21, outbidding you, who had 11, and Gronky Kong for 8. Now I think that, and it goes to the Trash Pandas. I think that he's a good pick for this week. I don't know about him long term.
I'm pissed because I initially had 21. I always I try to bid over even dollar amount because I feel like a lot of people will bet like $90. So if you bid 91, you would have gotten Walker,
right. Mm-hmm.
So and then I think I lowered it last minute, unfortunately. And it kind of sucks because I had Benjamin as my highest waiver claim. I think I put more money initially on Benjamin, and then I read about Walker, and then I flip-flopped too. So I would have at least got Benjamin if I didn't switch that. But
yeah, but I mean, I think Benjamin is going to be good for a couple of weeks. And then he's going to be relegated back. Once Connor gets back, I mean, what is it, a rib injury? I mean, or even if the other Williams comes back, I mean, it could cut into his. So I mean, yes, I think that he's a good pickup for this week. Now we're talking about $21. It's not that significant. If it's the kind of thing that makes the difference between win and a loss, then hey, maybe very well worth it. So, I
mean, for me, Henry and Jamal Williams are out this week on buys, so I really wanted one of these guys.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what Whalers is. I mean, he has so many running backs already. I don't think there's any strategy in place for any of this, so I don't know. But if he's got buys or anything else like that, then yeah, this is a good pickup for this week. He should be playing him this week. If you're spending any money on Benjamin, you should be playing him this week. Because I don't know how much long. I don't know how long he's going to be ridden out. And then the other one is Taysom Hill. $12 for him, outbidding Gronky Kong and the Lightning Rods, who had $5 on the bid, going to Tilla Trey. I think this is a good pickup. The problem is, when do you play? I mean, obviously, he's good. I mean, because he's listed, as Yahoo said in the beginning, qualifies as a tight end for tax evasion purposes only. I mean, at tight end, he can, especially if you're in a week where you're having problems with a tight end, not a bad pick,
Yeah.
Frankly, if I mean, maybe even Eugene should. I mean, at this point, it's too late, but I mean, that would have been a good move for him because I know that he's had problems with Pitts. I mean, I don't think that you could start Hill as a QB.
No.
But I think Tillett also. I mean, I don't know. I have to look at his roster, but I thought he had a couple tight ends. But whatever. It's not. I don't fault, especially for $12. I think it's a good pickup. And yeah, so that's it on the transactions. As far as the one other thing so when we go to all transactions, I actually was quite happy to find that when Eugene picked up Walker, the player that he dropped was Damian Harris. Who, he's injured, obviously, but he's going to be fine. And I was thrilled that I got to get Damian Harris, who was the number one.
Where's that transaction? When did that happen?
It happened this morning.
So you were up at that time?
I told you I had to wake up to pee. It was 2 a.m, and then I was going to go back to sleep, but then I just let me see if the transaction
so thanks to your bladder, you got Damian Harris.
I did, exactly. And then I was like, oh yeah. So I actually did it. Well, so first I picked up the kicker because the 2:14 is when I went to go pee, and then I was like, kind of. But so here's the thing: I normally would just I try to keep myself in a fog the entire time, and then just pass out. But it was like 2:14. I'm like, oh, let me look, and then I was already kind of awake, and then I was like tossing and turning, and then I was like, wait a minute, who did Eugene drop to get him? Because I wanted to see if I had got him, and then I saw they dropped Damien Harris. So I did the transaction at 2:59 a.m. Pacific. So that would have been 5:59 Eastern. But yes,
it's a good guy to have.
thanks to my need to pee, I did pick up Harris. And look, he's not going to play for a while, but you have to also figure that my RB2 is Jeff Wilson, who's been great. But I mean, if Mitchell ever comes back, then I could be I might be lacking in that position. So now it's nice to know that I could have, maybe fill that later on in the season with a Damian Harris. So I was actually, though I was disappointed to not get Walker, I was thrilled to be able to get Damian Harris. So looking at the
I'm surprised that was the guy he dropped.
I know.
Surprising.
I know. Like I was very surprised. So the Trash Pandas go and pick up Rashad White. Didn't they just have him? I don't know. BronchiCon picked up Josh Kelly, then dropped him again. There's a bunch of trades back and forth. So you picked up DJ Dallas. See, now that I think that is a smart pickup because he's going to be the receiving back, the third down back in Seattle, which may cut into Walker's touches in and of itself anyway. So
that was my thought process. And Pacheco really hasn't
and I think
that much time, and he's clearly the backups to Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon. So
right. Yeah. And if by some chance Walker goes down, then you really feel good about that.
And I have the $150 man.
Exactly. Other than that, I mean,
there's garbage. I got Henderson back. I mean, yeah, it's
nothing else of really
trash. Yeah,
really of note. Yeah, so that was the big one, and then looking at the standings. So when you look at Tilletray's points for 567, I mean that's so. I usually look at this on here. So points for. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the bottom. Yet he's in the first place. You look at points against. Obviously he has what?
He's the best.
Yeah, nobody scored or had less points scored against them. 452 points scored against Tilletrey. The Zamunda Lions have had the most points scored against them, 690. So almost 300 points more, almost. The Trash Pandas have had the second most with 669, followed by Wakanda, but Wakanda hasn't really scored much. Lightning Rods have the most points scored this season so far, 663, followed by Dave Secret Crush, the Hagglers, and then the 1603s, and then you. So we are all in the 600s, whereas the lowest amount is Wakanda and the Trash Pandas, who are still in the 400s. So you could see, the gap is starting to. So here's the other problem for the Trash Pandas is, not only do they have the bad record, but they don't have the points yet either. So like even if they could climb their way out of there, they're still going to be at the bottom of whatever level they can get to. So a lot of work to be done there.
51 moves in 5 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. 50. Yeah. That's. So the next most is actually me with 37. Ironically,
no, GronkyCon with 42.
Oh, GronkyCon with 42. Yeah, there you go. I don't even know when I've made 37 moves. Who have I made? I've basically had the same core the entire time. Who am I dropping? I don't even know who my moves are.
So the fact that Tillett has a 5-0 record with like the 5th least points. Yeah, I think that this is like the reason why some of us like that rule of highest point scorer should get something, because like, yes, he's in first place still, and he still has the best chance to win the championship, but I think there should be some reward for having the most points where,
I I come out on the other end of that. I just think, just like any other, I understand the philosophy behind it, but I will play certain players depending on my opponent because I want to, like, for example, if your quarterback is going, I will play a receiver that might not, might have maybe a better matchup, but because then I could take the points away from your guy. Like I feel like it's, I mean, but this is the constant debate that we have. Like, even when I was playing Eugene in hockey, for example, he's like, oh, I outshot you. I'm like, yeah, but I let you come to me and then I counterpunch. Like, it's part of the strategy of it. So
I get your philosophy. I mean, in tennis, like, my favorite sport, that philosophy applies because, like, you could have an easy draw and still win the title and you get all the credit in the world.
right.
I would kind of like that if you play a higher ranked player, then you get a few extra ranking points to add. Like, I think that's a cool element. Like, you should be rewarded for your good performance. But I mean, I get your
You want to
philosophy.
make it like college football where we vote? Well, we should vote on who's who's leading in the coaches poll right now.
A coaches poll.
Everybody would vote for themselves, so I don't think you could do that in this league. But
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
mean,
I
think
I
we
mean,
could go with the worst team in terms of the coaches poll, but
would we even agree on that? Who do you think is the worst team?
you'd have to go with Whalers. He's just made, it's not only the amount of moves, it's just the timing of the moves have been suspect too.
I still
Having
think Wakanda.
having
think,
that Seattle running back, last week on your bench and then
When did-
dropping him and going for $150, like that's like a
when did he even? I just want to see when he. Let's see.
When did he drop him? Walker the third.
No, so
That's when he was picked up.
Right. So let's see. When did he say? I don't even see him. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, there he is.
Rondale Moore. So he dropped Kenneth Walker III on October 5th at 11:50 in the morning. For Rondale Moore, who I guarantee you, Rondale Moore is not on his team either. Is he? Let's see. Where's the teams? Rosters. Whatever. Where's it? Where's the Trash Pandas team? Is Rondale Moore even on there anymore? That's going to be the extra kick in the nuts. Oh, he still is. He actually still has Rondale. At least the guy who we dropped him for.
I guarantee you, after he listens to this podcast tomorrow or the day after, he will no longer be on this team. We can bet on that. I will do 20 push-ups if he is on his team after the podcast is released.
Oh, he'll no. Well, but yeah, I mean, first of all, dude, you got to do a parlay with it. If he does that, and if Cam Akers scores more than 1 point, I don't even know.
Okay, we could parlay it with that. Sure.
Or Algier, is he going to do anything? Oh, I mean, that guy.
Algier.
Although he'll drop Algier, and then but Algier's playing anyway, theoretically, with 4 point. Oh my god, this team. No, I still say that Wakanda is worse. Overall, on this coach poll, he's worse. I
In terms of the coaching, though, I think,
has there been coaching for Wakanda? Is it even there?
That's true. Just ignoring your team.
Well, I mean, because he picked up Geno Smith.
Okay,
I mean, actually, Wakanda, as bad as he still has made some moves. Nothing with money. He hasn't been a dime. He's still got $200.
Zamunda hasn't been great with benching of the good receivers, but I don't know if I equate that more to luck or lack of luck per se. But I think Gronky Kong has been the most unlucky team so far in the early going.
More than the Trash Pandas?
Yes.
Okay. I've been pretty unlucky too, by the way.
You have. You have. I actually think I might get the reward for most lucky team so far.
I
Because I
think
had,
so because there was 2 weeks with the, yeah,
yeah, the Javante weeks
yeah,
and
and you
yeah,
trade him and you trade him
take him
away
away.
like minutes before he gets in. I mean, you want to talk about the luckiest team? I mean, I don't think it's
I have been
a
extremely
question.
lucky.
You should change your name to the Hackestown Luckiest at this point. I mean, it's not even questionable. Who
Yeah.
trades away a guy mid-game, like 20 minutes before he's out for the season? I mean, yes, absolutely. Between that, the Monday nights, there's no question that you've been the luckiest so far.
I have been very lucky. Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You can take
All right.
a quick look at the next week's games. Anything you want to comment on? You want to comment on your game? Who are you playing?
I'll comment on my game.
Clever name pending. So right now, why is it so close? This should not even be close.
This is actually a tough game for me because both my starting running backs are injured. So I have to go, or not injured. I'm sorry, they're on bye weeks.
Yeah, Derrick
So
Henry. Oh yeah.
and Williams. So I'm gonna go with Sanders, of course, but that's a really tough matchup against Dallas. And then Henderson probably against Carolina, who isn't very good.
Wait
Wilson
a minute. So he kept Akers and then dropped Henderson?
looks like it.
Oh my God, the trash pandas. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't even. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I got to put Boyd in there because I think who's out? One of my receivers is out. I mean, I'm just not very strong at receiver. I used to play 3 running backs at the flex. Yeah, I mean, Davis against Kansas City. I'm hoping he has a repeat of that divisional playoff game.
Right. I
Then,
think no. I think that's a good place to play him.
yeah, Thielen against Miami.
I mean, those have been really high scoring games.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, I guess Miami's defense isn't as good if they give up 40 points to the Jets. So, like, but then again, the better the matchup is, or the better the defense is, the better Thielen usually plays because they usually double cover Jefferson and he's more open. So I don't know. It's interesting.
You also have Burrow at New Orleans. I think that's going to be a high scoring game to at least match Mahomes playing Buffalo. I mean, which is obviously going to be.
Yeah, and I have twofers with Boyd.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's okay. It's probably the best I can come up with my best guy on a bye.
I mean, Dalvin going against Miami, that's good for him. Hunt versus New England is bad for him.
That is bad.
DJ Moore, he's playing him against the Rams, and I don't even know if Baker should go this week.
Baker is just so bad.
Oh, he's terrible.
One of the funniest things I've heard was from Shannon Sharp when they were talking about Baker, and he was like, "Oh, I thought Baker didn't." Or everyone says Baker didn't throw a touchdown. Well, he did, just to the other team.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, it's so McCaffrey's actually been getting good numbers all season long, but it's painful to watch those games. It's just so painful to watch it. I mean, like maybe things will change with rule out now.
Yeah, but also the Rams are going to be angry after that pretty.
Well, I'm not talking about this game specifically. I'm just meant
in general. Yeah,
in general. For this game specifically, I mean, I don't even know if Baker's going to be in there, which certainly will help some of the players. Obviously, others it won't. But I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 50-50 projection for a reason. I think it's very close, actually. I like that. It's probably the one week I like going against Mahomes because I have Kelsey. And Kelsey's coming off, a really great game. So I'm hoping another 4 touchdowns from.
I mean, that would be amazing if you repeated the AFC divisional game from last. I mean, like, yeah, Mahomes would get. I mean, like, could you imagine getting the Davis and the Kelsey numbers from that game? Like, it would be
insane.
I know.
Insane.
Yeah.
Well, who do you like in this game? I'm sure you'll cover it more with
Right.
Geza.
I mean, doing a quick look, I mean, luck's on your side. I think luck has been on your side, and it's been not on his side. So
Yeah. If I can get a win here with Henry on a bye, I would be very satisfied.
yeah,
Like
this would be
that would be a huge win for me.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, will be interesting. Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So as promised, we'll take a little break here. You can say goodbye to everybody, and we'll join you, which will be tomorrow night, where we'll know actually a little bit more about these games with Geese. And yeah, good luck to everybody,
All
and
right.
we'll see you on the other side of the break, or at least I will.
Hey
All right.
guys, good luck.
All right, welcome back. So as promised, we are joined by the esteemed Mr. Lutsky. So for you, it will, to the viewers, it will seem seamless, I guess, though I'm wearing a different shirt. Nonetheless, it is a day later, so we have the results, not that any of us watched it, of the Commanders Bears game. I don't even know. We'll find all of that stuff out. But so we already went over with Manny all of last week's games. Is there anything that you want to comment on regarding the last week's games before we move on?
Just that we beat our nemesis Gronky Kong. That was it.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, do you want to go through the game at all, or?
I mean, was it already gone over for the viewers?
It was gone over for the viewers.
Gronky Kong played a great game. It was close. He lost at the end.
Okay.
Let's move on.
All right, sure. Let's. So then, in that case, let's see, where is this? All right. Let's go over the transactions. So there'll be some overlap with this stuff, but obviously, people want to go over the transactions. I know you don't really even care too much about it, but he clearly wants to be talked about. So Eugene's $150 bid, the largest bid in history for Kenneth Walker III. Your thoughts?
$150. Not since Hawkinson. I mean, I think you just were $1 under the famous Hawkinson $91 bid, right? What was Hawkinson's bid?
I think it was 91 for Hawkinson.
150. I mean,
he blew away the competition. He's left with like $14 left now. So yeah, so his bid, so it was 90 for the 1603ers, 74 for the Trash Pandas, 46 for the Finest, 17 for Tilla Trey, and 8 for Gronky Kong.
I would have thought that 74 would have locked that up.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't bid on him. I thought that you were going
to about Walker, Texas Ranger. Again, I've gone over this 100 times. The man had 88 yards rushing. 69 of it was on one run. Okay? So the other 7 carries went for like 20 yards. I mean, I'm not impressed by Walker, Texas Ranger. Now, I could be wrong. This could blow up in my face, but I mean, it can't blow up any worse than the Whalers who threw him in the garbage can right before. All the latte shows are saying, you got to get this guy. This Walker, Texas Ranger is the man.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are saying that.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, you already pointed out that Rashad Penny hasn't done dick running the football for the Seabags. What makes you think Walker, Texas Ranger is going to do anything?
I mean, that is true. I mean, like, I will say that I bid on him because, he's an RB1. I mean, he's going to be the only. I mean, maybe there'd be what's his name, Dallas. Speaking of Texas Ranger, Dallas, JD Dallas, whatever the guy, Manny picked him up. So, but yeah, if you look at the numbers that Penny had this year so far, it was 8.7, 1.5, 7.9, and then he had the game against Detroit, which was 28.7, and then the last game was 5.4. So only one game was in, and you can't really count the last game because that's when he got injured. But other than that, he didn't crack double digits except for the Detroit game.
So 74 should normally have, won that, but 90. I'm surprised you went 90. You wanted this guy that bad, $90. That's very unhard back in like.
It is, though he was an RB1, I felt. But I actually, and I said this in the, when I was talking with Manny, I'm happier that I didn't get him and I got who Eugene dropped. To be honest with you, it worked out in my favor. I mean, we ended up picking up, what's his name? I can't even remember the name anymore. Shows you how much what?
You picked up Harris from the Patriots.
Yeah, I thought I'm very happy with that. I would prefer that, actually, to be honest. I don't know.
Well, the Trash Pandas got their man in Eno Benjamin.
Yes, they did. 21 for him. Now, what I said about Eno Benjamin is that I think that he's going to be useful for about a week. As long as Connor's out. I don't think Connor's going to be out that long. And then I think that, now, if you're the Trash Pandas, you need a win now. So, I could, if you're going to play him this week, then okay. But yeah, and then Taysom Hill after that win. I mean, of course, people had to go after him. $12 to Tillit Trey, beating out Gronky Kong and Lightning Rods at $5. I don't know.
Gronky Kong's got to be pissed at Taysom Hill because they gave Olave that horseshit touchdown where it was clearly incomplete.
Yeah.
And Hill vultured 4 touchdowns from Gronky Kong, Alvin Kamara. He's got to be livid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those 4 touchdowns, and he definitely wins our matchup this week.
I mean, those 4 touchdowns. I mean, what did what's his name had? He had like 24 already. Had 4 touchdowns. That's another 24. That's almost like a Lamar game if he has that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah. So sitting at the top of the standings once again is Tillit, 5-0.
Yeah. Yep. 5-0 for Tillit Trey. He's a little 567. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's still on the lower end of the point scale.
Yeah, I mean, the lowest in the league is Wakanda with 468.54.
Mm-hmm.
And the Trash Pandas are the only other team in the 400s. Yeah. But then the only team that's only had 400 scored against them is, so there's Tillit Trey, who's had 452 scored against him, and the Lightning Rods, 463 scored against him. And look at that, coincidentally, 1 and 2 in the league.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then if you look at the moves, so yeah, the Trash Pandas clearly leading everybody with 51 moves, 43 for Gronky Kong, 37 for the 1603ers, which is, I think it's about it. But for the Hagglers, only 22. That's a low number for the Hagglers. What's going on?
I think for the Hagglers this season, the lineup is pretty much already there. The pieces are already there, so there's no need to mess around in the dumpster all day long like we usually do.
Yeah, I was saying this to Manny in the first part of this. I really feel like this year it feels like patience is being rewarded for a lot of teams. I think that the teams that are just willy-nilly, just constantly churning stuff, have had problems, whereas the players that seem to have stayed with their people and wrote it out. I mean, even Eugene has not been. He's only had 7 moves all season long, and you find him all the way at the top. I think patience is being rewarded this season.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can clearly see that with Walker, Texas Ranger. That's for sure. So yeah, so if we look, looking at this schedule, based on their current rosters and situations, which 1 and 4 team is really in panic mode right now, and which team will probably right to ship?
So we're not even talking about Zamunda, who's 0-5, because they clearly should be.
Well, they should. Well,
no. I'm saying they should be in panic mode, or no?
Oh, they should be in panic mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these 1 and 4 teams are clearly on the brink of panic.
Well, I mean, I think Wakanda is just atrocious. I mean,
it's just like that Tua benching for 50 points, they've been in a free fall.
Yeah, and then Whalers plays the backup. I mean, and then he's a free fall too.
Yeah. And then Gronky Kong's just had a string of bad luck.
I mean, Gronky Kong at least has 585 points. You know, like these other two haven't even cracked 500 yet. Even Zamunda has cracked 500. I mean, so in the past we used to say 7 losses was the benchmark. When we added when the extra week got added, I think that got moved up to 8.
Yep, 8 losses. So they're halfway there.
They're halfway there. So they don't have to panic yet, but they need to start accumulating some wins.
Yeah, I mean, that 1-5 team is going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Unless you're Zamunda, in which case you're on the upswing. But
yeah, of those 3 1-4 teams, some of them have some pretty tough matchups.
Yeah, and then which do you think is the most vulnerable at the top out of the 4-1 teams?
I mean, we keep saying Tilla Trey, but he keeps winning. So
he's the 5-0. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting point at this point, but I think I don't know. I think this week will really start to separate some, the curd from the whey. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Zamunda and Wakanda are pretty much, unless something drastic happens, I think that their seasons are nearly over. And then the Trash Panda and Gronky Kong, I mean, that those are two teams that are just going to keep churning and trying and everything else. So in which case, I never count them out.
No, they're always looking to make moves.
And to be honest with you, they're only really 2 games ish away from the playoffs, kind of 3 maybe. So
it depends. If the Lightning Rods, Dave Secret Crush, and the Finest win, they're gonna put a lot of pressure on those 1-4 teams.
Yeah,
especially 1-5.
I mean, it depends, but all right. But let's look at the matchups that are upcoming. So, okay, where should we start? I mean, I guess we should start with games that have already started. So we can start with the 1603s versus the Lightning Rod. Speaking of which, so did you watch any of the game tonight? What?
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah. So whatever. I guess let's see what the result was. So it was 12-7. Washington won. Ooh. What a game. Interesting. So out of that game, David Montgomery got 9 points, 67 rushing yards, 13 receiving yards, and 1 reception. Scintillating numbers. Herbert with 7.5. Ooh, on my bench. Yeah, so the original projection was 124.71. The current projection is 120.3. The current projection is 124.71 to 117.86. So he undershot it, but only by 3 points. So it's not, first of all, we've already seen, Thursday, you can't hang anything on a Thursday. But in addition to that, I mean, he was close to his numbers. So let's look at the rest of this matchup. So you have Garoppolo at Atlanta and Rodgers versus the Jets. I think those are 2+ matchups for both of these quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Rodgers is the better quarterback, but I think Garoppolo, I mean, they both have really good situations, I think. Receivers, you got Diggs and Williams. So Diggs in that Kansas City game, that's going to be a really big game. I think that there's going to be a lot of scoring there. And you have Mike Williams versus Denver on Monday night. That might be more of a slog. Yeah. What?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you've seen that. What was it, 11-10 the last time the Broncos were on Monday night?
Yeah, it's just, yeah. And then you have Kupp versus Carolina. I think, provided that he should be playing. I mean, I don't know why the Q is there. It's bothering me. foot returned to practice on Thursday. If people, they already said he has to suit up. Okay, good. No need to panic. So yeah, Cup against Carolina, I think a great game. And Jacoby and Myers at Cleveland. I mean, look, why is he on the injury report now? Oh, because they put it. Sorry, it's the Patriots. They put everybody on the injury report. I can't. Even what's his name? It's ridiculous. What's his name? Harris is still questionable, even though he's going to be out for like weeks. He's still listed as the shenanigans that the Patriots play are unbelievable. Anyway, but yeah, so Myers has a good matchup against Cleveland too. I think that there's a slight. So I think it also depends on. Are they going to go to Diggs in that game? Because it was Gabe Davis that went the last time. Are they going to repeat that, or are they going to go to Diggs? I don't know. I think these are good matchups. I do like our wide receiver matchups in this. And then we also have McKenzie, by the way, at the flex. He's got Michael Pittman against Jacksonville. I don't know. At running back, we have Jeff Wilson Jr. and McCaffrey. And then he's got Gordon on Monday night. So it's going to be a lot of Monday night for him. It's going to be a lot of Sunday morning. Then Andrew's going against Conklin. So one of the benefits, so he's got a couple players on bye. So first of all, he has Pierce on a bye. He's got Hawkinson on a bye. So that certainly, and we have none of our players on a bye. So that certainly helps us in this matchup. We have McManus on Monday night and the New England defense going against Cleveland. So we're very heavily invested in that New England Cleveland game. And he's got San Francisco. He's also had a fantastic defense, by the way, with San Francisco, and they're going against Atlanta. So I think that's a good matchup for him. I think it's a really close game. I always pick my opponents. I'm going to again, though. I do think that if you look at it on paper, there's some plus things on this side of the ledger, but I don't know. But I'm obviously picking the lightning rods because I always do pick the opponents.
Well, I'm not going to waste my time with that. I'm going with the 1603ers. The lightning rod has a lot of questionable. From Mike Williams down, it doesn't really scare you. He's got Stephon Diggs, Rodgers, whatever. And Williams may have from Williams all the way down. It's questionable. I think the best player out of this whole lineup, by the way, is the San Francisco defense. 21-15. You look at any one of his players, their last two games, none of them have gotten 21 or 15. Yeah. I'm just going down the list, except for, Mike Williams has done it. But should Keenan Allen come back, those numbers are going to plummet.
Is he coming back? You're certainly keenly aware of that.
I'm screwed if he doesn't because I'm playing him on Monday. Yeah. Two players on his team have scored higher than the San Francisco defense over the last 2 weeks. That doesn't bode well.
Yet he continues to win. So, are we going to be another?
Yeah, he keeps winning like Kimmel. Those records speak for themselves.
Yeah. Are we going to be another dead fly in a spider web?
Hopefully somebody will move.
I hope so as well, but we'll see. All right, so you've gotten you're picking the 1603s, we're picking the lightning rods. Time to move on to the next game, which will be, I guess. So we should do the games that have already been played, but we already talked about Manny's game, so let's just get that one out of the way while we're here. So the projection. So there's no players on Thursday night. So the finest. He actually is slightly worried about this game because I think he's got some players on bye. He's got Henry on a bye. He's got Williams on a bye. Goff on a bye. So the projection right now is 115.49 to 106.36. It's favored in it. I don't know why this went down. I think from yesterday it went down because I think it was 50-50 yesterday. Maybe he replaced somebody with. I don't know, but there's a ton of buys over there also, by the way. His entire bench is buys. So you got Burrow against New Orleans. I think that's a good matchup for him. Mahomes versus Buffalo. Obviously, that's I think that's the premier matchup of this week. Thielen at Miami. So we discussed about how against a bad. So if there's a good corner on Jefferson, then Thielen sometimes gets some of the the possessions. Whereas if it's a bad receiver, a bad corner on on Jefferson, then Thielen doesn't do well because they just throw it to Jefferson all the time. So it's basically counterintuitive. So I think in this game he thinks that because Miami has been bad, it would be a good game for Jefferson, bad game for Thielen. I don't know. I just think Miami has been giving up a ton of points in general. So I'm not ready to say no. So he's got Burrow and Boyd going against New Orleans. I think that's going to be a high scoring game. You got Deontay Johnson versus Tampa Bay and DJ Moore against the Rams. Baker's not going to be in this game, it looks like. So it's going to be whoever the backup is. I think it's
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's Walker, Texas Ranger this episode. So, how good is he going to do? I'm going to get, you got a slight edge there to the receivers there, at least. So Miles Sanders and Darrell Henderson, who I guess Whalers finally dropped him. There's another jabroni drop.
Jabroni drop.
He decided to keep Akers, but dropped Henderson. Now the finest are using him going against Cook and Hunt. I think that's a good running back pair. I think it's better over there, certainly in Clever Name Pending. Irv Smith, so maybe can counteract whatever Thielen does going against Kelsey. Obviously, Kelsey has the advantage there, especially in that game. And then Gabe Davis versus Bateman. This is a tougher. So I look at this, I see an advantage in the running backs for Clever Name Pending. I see slight advantage. Receiver is definitely an advantage of the quarterback for Clever Name Pending. Kelsey is definitely an advantage in Gabe Davis over there. Slight advantage to the finest. I think I'm going to go with. I think the projection is fairly accurate in terms of percentage. I'm going to go with the finest.
I'd like it to if he had Henry in there along with.
If he had his lineup, I would think different.
Yeah, in his regular lineup, it'd be a bowl over. It's a bit closer, but I still think he wins it out over Clever Name Pending.
Yeah.
Darrell Henderson's hot garbage. But
has he done anything this season? So, all right, first two games, 12 and then 10. And then lately it's been a 1.7, 6.9, and 7. So, okay.
Yeah.
And Sanders hasn't done anything either, by the way. Well, that's not true. 18.5, 11.65. He had the game against Jacksonville where he had 29.6, and last week he was back down to 8.4. So going against the vaunted Dallas defense. So I think it's going to be tough. I think he's going to pull it out.
Gabe Davis had the game of his life. Okay, 3 catches, 171 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Come on.
And if he has that kind of game again, Mahomes is going to be throwing it to him, so he's going to take anything away from Mahomes there too. So,
no,
not Mahomes. Excuse me, not Mahomes, but what was I saying? But Kelsey. Excuse me, Kelsey is going to be taking it all away from Mahomes because if he has that on the other end of the thing, he's going to have that. He's heavily invested in that game, and that is, I think, going to be a high scoring game. And so I think that's what's going to carry him over the finish line. But you're right. Yes, it's Josh Allen that will be throwing to Gabe Davis.
If he has a game like that, man, he has it in the bag.
Yeah,
once in a lifetime.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? So yeah, we're both picking Manny slightly. All right, let's move on. Would you rather we go with Gronky Kong or the Trash Pandas next?
Oh, let's see what Gronky Kong's gonna do to rebound.
Okay, so we know that as we said many times, the Thursday night game is clearly not determinative. If you do anything, I could you almost pick Gronky Kong after this kind of performance. But so the original projection is 124.08 to 114.35. It's currently 114.6 to 114.35. So it's a 50-50 at this point. When Samuel only got 2.6 points after he was projected to get 12.8. Yeah. So, but based on this entire thing, that just says, well, Gronky Kong will win. I don't know if that's true though. So let's see. Lamar Jackson going against the Giants. And Kyler Murray against Seattle. I think Kyler Murray's, I mean, he's got a huge advantage there. I don't think Seattle's been giving up tons of points. So as good as Lamar is, I'm going to give the advantage to Murray. Obviously, we already know what Samuel did. And then you have Godwin, who's still questionable at Pittsburgh. So that's a good matchup for him. But then he's playing against Mike Evans on the other side, also against Pittsburgh. And then you got CeeDee Lamb against Philadelphia. I think he could have what's Lamb been doing lately? I mean, pretty good game. So, okay. I give the advantage to Nick and Jamie in the quarterback and in the wide receiver. So let's look at the running backs. Now, Dobbins didn't do anything last week. He's playing Elliott against Philadelphia. I can't believe first of all, I play Pollard. I just think Pollard's the betting running back. Maybe just go back to that ridiculous setup. I don't know. But Elliott has been crap.
Mm-hmm.
So 5.9, 5.9, 14.5, 10.10, and then 7.8. He's just been awful. Whereas Pollard did have a 75-yard touchdown or something. So, but still. Yeah, 14.2, 19.8, 10.5, 1.8, and then 14.6.
Powered by Nick Chubb. Gronky Kong has just been powered by Nick Chubb. I mean, look at those numbers. They're disgusting.
Yeah, 15.3, 32.3, 17.3, 20.7, 25.4. So, yes. Well, I mean, he's been powered by him and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean,
Kamara with his first game back had 23. I mean, his nucleus is still producing.
I mean, Najee Harris, though, tremendously disappointing. He's going against a tough run defense in Tampa Bay. So 10, 13.9, 13.1, 7.4, 6.6. I mean,
So I think off the record, we heard from Associated Press that Gronky Kong offered Bowtie a deal for Mahomes.
Yes, I heard that. With Lamar, it was Lamar and Mahomes, and then it involved Najee Harris, and was it Hunt?
Hunt, yeah. So what would you have done with that deal?
If I'm who?
If you're Bowtie,
I don't know.
You don't know. You think that Lamar Jackson is in the same class as Mahomes?
Yeah.
I mean, his last two games, Mahomes 38.4 and 29.36. Last two games for Lamar barely didn't even get near 20.
Yeah, but look at the earlier parts of the schedule.
I mean, that's great, but you don't want a guy who's on the decline.
I don't know if he's on the decline or not. I mean, I think he's going to have a tough game this week too, but I mean, like, it also depends. It could just be a matchup thing. I mean, like, look at who he played the last 2 weeks. First of all, he played Buffalo in a monsoon, and he played Cincinnati. He was a tough divisional opponent. I don't think
Giants game he rebounds back to regular Lamar.
I don't necessarily think so. I think the Giants have a pretty decent defense. I think he certainly rebounds by the New Orleans game. I think Mahomes is going to, I mean, it really all depends. I think that they're in the same category. Just depends on, I think that they both have the potential to be really good.
I think
first of all, I'll say, I mean, like, I don't know if I would take it or not. I don't think that it's something you have to take either way, but I just think that, I think it's at least fair. I think that it was for once, it was a 2 for 2, it wasn't, I don't think it was an attack, I think it's in the realm of possibility, and it depends on if you like him or not.
So I think the only quarterback in the same echelon as Patty Mahomes right now is Josh Allen.
Interesting. Okay. I mean,
and not because I have him, just because of the performance that has been given.
No.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you that Josh Allen is fantastic. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying that it's interesting that you think that Patty Mahomes. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't paid that much attention to Chiefs games. I just have no involvement in them. So I don't know. I believe you.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the thing that I say anytime that I'm offered a trade anyway, if I'm even, first of all, if it's not just laughed off immediately, if I'm actually going, which 90% of the trade offers that I get are just laughed off immediately. But if you give me something that at least makes me raise an eyebrow and makes me go, okay, let me look into this further, then yes, I do a lot of analysis on those kinds of things. But if it's a player and you'd go, well, how are you not familiar with Patty Mahomes? If I have no players in any of his games, I mean, like on Sundays, there's only so many games that you could have on. It's usually 4 at a time. And I'm focused on my players for those games. So I'm not looking at everybody else's team, unless obviously, like, for example, like those players are in a game that is a game that I'm watching. Sometimes I'll notice like, ooh, that person, even though he's not on my team, is really good. But like I have really had very little reason to watch Kansas City games all season. I don't think, I can't even remember having to watch a Kansas City game. I mean, I certainly don't have any Kansas City players, but I don't even know if my team has played Kansas City players. And I'm sure that there are players in the league like that for you, where you just haven't even watched them.
Nah, I've seen more than less. I'll put it this way. And speaking to our thing earlier about which one of these teams is going to be bouncing back quickly, I think once DeAndre Hopkins comes back, I mean, he's just going to be peppered with targets. So you Rocky Kong's big 3. He could be a very formidable team.
Sure. I mean, what's the deal with Higgins? Is he going to play this week? That's also going to have a big impact. And it's going to be remain sidelined at Thursday's practice. Well, at least hopefully he, who's he got? I mean, what's going on with Drake London? He hasn't really, I don't know. Marquise Brown. Woo, look at those numbers. Somebody needs to get some Marquise Brown in the game.
Why? So he benched Marquise Brown after the Rams game. They benched him when he got 28. And I questioned that move, okay? The following week, 20, I still was like, what are you doing? And then he got 21.8. Why are you keeping this guy on the bench?
And he's playing Seattle this week. You have to put in Marquise Brown. Come on. Put him in for Higgins. That makes a giant difference. Put him in. Put in
CeeDee Lamb, CeeDee Lamb has a chance to do something, but
yeah. And Mike Evans, I mean, that counters Godwin. I think that's fine, but you got to put in Marquise Brown. Dobbins, I mean, I think the Giants have a tough run defense. I would I mean, I don't know. I hate to advocate for the ridiculous, the double. Look, put in Brown. That's all I could say. Kamara finally had a good game.
Either that or just trade him to me. I mean, those kind of numbers are staggering. He's a consistent 20-point performer the last 3 weeks.
And he's got Seattle and New Orleans coming up, by the way. Then Minnesota and then Seattle again.
This guy could be.
I mean, are you kidding me? You have to start playing him.
So those numbers may take a dip in 2 weeks because DeAndre Hopkins comes back against New Orleans. So you definitely play him in the Seattle game.
Yeah, you have to play him this week.
Yeah. I mean, in 2 weeks, maybe those things change, but definitely play him this week. You have to.
Yeah. I think that this game gets decided on whether or not, and I don't care what Higgins is doing right now. Just take him out and put in Marquise Brown right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think this game gets decided on that decision. And by the way, you're Arizona pot committed anyway. For once, I'm actually advocating the Arizona Cowboy. Just do it. Murray, Ertz, and Brown, Elliott, and Pollard, and then throw in some Mike Evans, and I think you got yourself a win right there.
This one's pretty close to call. If DeAndre Hopkins came back for Gronky Kong, I'll definitely take him. I mean, Curtis Samuel at 2.6 laid an egg.
Yeah, but I mean, Harris is bad, and he's going against a really tough defense.
Nick Chubb is going to be. I actually am taking Nick and Jamie because of the matchups that
For Nick Chubb. Here's the thing: what does Belichick do? What is your strength? And what is Cleveland's strength? It's Nick Chubb. I think the one thing that you're going to see, Cleveland do is not do well with Nick Chubb. I think this is going to be a bad game for him. I'm picking Nick and Jamie. I'm sorry. I am. As long as he plays, if they play Brown, if they don't, I really don't know. I think it becomes a coin flip. I heavily favor Nick and Jamie if they play Brown.
Yeah.
If not, I still am going to pick Nick and Jamie because I think Nick Chubb is finally not going to have the game that he wants to have. But that's where I'm going with this. I'm picking Nick and Jamie.
I got Nick and Jamie too.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. So the only other game that has been played, the 5-0 Tillett going against the 1-4 Trash Pandas, but terrible start for the Spiderweb team. So the original projection was 126.03 to 109.29. Now the current projection is 126.03 to 95.19. Is he finally, with a 4.6 egg from Carson Wentz on Thursday night, is he finally going to take a loss?
Oof.
So Stafford, who also has not been scintillating, I mean, quarterback play has not exactly been the Trash Pandas' forte. But Stafford against Carolina, good matchup. You got Jefferson against Miami, I think really good matchup. Metcalf against Arizona, I think that's a good matchup. Cooper against New England.
Terrible because
yeah,
Bill knows how to put pressure on Brisket.
Yeah, exactly. Kirk at Indianapolis, I don't know. I mean, I can't decide on this Jacksonville team. I mean, so started out really well. Last 2 weeks have been terrible. Now he's playing Indianapolis, is not very good. I don't know. He has put Benjamin in there at Seattle, and I think he needs to. Good move there. He bid the money, and I think that he bid it for this week. And yes, that's the right move. Aaron Jones against the Jets, also a good move. Then you have Mixon against New Orleans. That's very good for him. And Fournette against Pittsburgh. I think you're going to have a lot of good play by the running backs in this. It would be interesting. I mean, yeah. So Kittle has not been good, but Goddard has. Lockett has been really good. Connor's injured. I mean, I don't even think he's going to play, so he's got to take him out. So who does he take him out for? Pierce. I'd actually play Pierce, to be honest with you, or even Taysom Hill. What?
That's such a gamble.
I know. I would just play Pierce
because of the 4 touchdowns. New Orleans is going to try and sneak him into the game.
Yeah, I know. I would just play Pierce. Pierce has been really good lately. Pierce, 12 points, 16 points the last 2 games. I mean, you play him there. And the interesting, I mean, you could put in AJ Dillon. I mean, you could have Aaron Jones versus, I mean, whatever. AJ Dillon. I know it is, but yeah, just play Pierce. Play Pierce. He's still behind the 8 ball. I mean, you'd say with Thursday night, you favor the Trash Pandas in this, but I don't know. I mean, you would favor Tillett to come back from a terrible performance from this, but I still got it. I favor the Trash Pandas. I mean, ironically, the biggest weakness I think is Kirk.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Jefferson was back to Jefferson type numbers. Now, 3-5 games, he's gotten 30 plus.
And I think this is a game where he does also because Miami gives up a ton of points. Now, Metcalf, he's been really good, so he can keep pace. And then Amari Cooper has been really good, but I think that you're right. They're going to put a good amount of pressure on Brisket, which is going to hurt him there. So then so I think Jefferson's going to get his numbers, and I think things are finally aligned. Maybe.
But he already has a humongous head start with Wentz getting 4 points.
I know.
So I'm gonna go with the Trash Pandas in this one.
I am too. I think that yes.
Finally gets upset.
Yes.
Only because of the poor start and the match.
Yeah, but those are, all right. And because Tilla Trey is not that good. I don't think that these matchups portend for a dead fly in the spider web. I mean, maybe it will. Maybe he'll beat him 95-90. I mean, that is a Tilla Trey type of game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm picking the Trash Pandas.
I'm gonna go with them too.
Yeah. All right. So then that leaves us. What does that leave us with?
Battle for the basement.
Oh God. The Commanders versus Bears game of the center. Zamunda versus Wakanda. The African connection. Whew. So the projection in this one is 118.29 to 88.84. Ouch.
Wow. 88. Okay, that's with at least a flex on a buy.
Yeah, but I mean, how much more is he going to get off of that? Well, at least he didn't play McKissick for 2.0, and look at this. Fields with 20 points. Wow, on Nick's bench. Trevor Lawrence, so Geno Smith, I think, will have a better game than Trevor Lawrence. Debo at Atlanta, I think, is good. Jamar at New Orleans, I think that's a good matchup. I actually might favor Chase there. Lazard against the Jets. What has Lazard done? Lazard's been good. Okay. Waddle versus Minnesota. Waddle has not been good lately. I mean, what has Pickens done? Pickens has been pretty good. He hasn't played him. He's always playing the wrong receiver, by the way. So Adams is on a bye, and even if he wasn't, he'd be suspended. So
is he? He faced a suspension?
I don't know. I think he's going to be. Isn't he being sued? I don't know. I haven't really paid attention. So Eckler's been having a monster year so far. Going against Denver, though. What else do we have? Robinson. He's cooled down, hasn't he? Yes, certainly. Mostert's been good lately. Madison, though, oh my
God. He got questionable.
Freiermuth is still questionable, right? I mean, what was in concussion, limited in Thursday. I mean, who does he even put in? I mean, Taylor's still questionable. I think he's on the wrong. So let's say Palmer in there. I don't even know who Huntley is. Caleb Huntley. Okay. I just go with Zamunda to get off the schneid. I mean, if there's any team to get off the schneid with, it's the Wakanda Panthers.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, you're looking up and down this lineup. It is garbage. Still playing Madison. I know that you could find a better running back than the backup.
Why isn't he bidding $150 on the Walker Texas Ranger?
Yeah, that would severely have upgraded this team. Severely. I mean, they could have given them a jolt of life.
I mean, your RB1 is a backup.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I mean, this team is god awful. I mean, you got to go with Zamunda in this game. I mean, Geno Smith is at least been good, and I think that could be a high-scoring game. Chase and Lazard are fine. Yeah, I mean, but he's got to anything lower than Lazard, and I'm not even saying that Lazard is that good. Anything lower than Lazard, you just gotta. I mean, Mustard, I mean, at least is salvageable. Oh my God, this is just such a bad team. No, I'm going with Zamunda. Come on.
You gotta go Zamunda on this one. I mean, Eckler alone. Eckler Waddle and Robinson alone.
Yeah. I mean, Robinson's been pretty bad, and Waddle has been pretty bad. But he's playing Smith at least, who's been really good, other than the 1 week. Well, I don't know what happened the first week, but whatever. Zamunda. I'm going Zamunda. I don't even. I still think that Wakanda is the worst team.
This may be the lock of the week.
I think they are every week until proven otherwise. Yeah, I'm definitely going with Zamunda. Which leaves us to the last game. You versus the fan. Look at this.
And look at this. He's got Walker, Texas Ranger plugged in immediately.
Oh, yes.
To go with Barkley and Brees Hall. Does he have the best running back crew in the league?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right? I would have to think so. I mean, Barkley's been really good. I mean, legit. Obviously, and Brees Hall, I mean, he's been real good too. He's going with an all New York football team backfield at running back, and then he's got Walker, Texas Ranger. Hurts going against Dallas. Sutton on Monday night. AJ Brown versus Dallas also. So he's heavily invested in Sunday and Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got an all Denver special teams. Very tough.
Well, he's got Cincinnati.
Or sorry, not yeah, sorry. Not at all. Whatever. Sorry, it's so late. McPherson at New Orleans and then Denver. So yeah. But you've got Josh Allen in the Kansas City game. So,
I mean, that's gonna be, I don't care what anybody says, that's gonna be ridiculous. That's gonna be a shootout galore.
Yeah. What's the latest on Tua? Is he coming back?
Maybe we'll see. I mean, he might be out another week.
And that could have some effects on Tyreek Hill. What's the deal with Olave? Any news there?
Olave, no, he's still in the concussion protocol.
All right. Now, Ramondre, I know you're happy about Ramondre.
Is set for a bust-out game with Harris being out, but I'm not so sure about Singletary. I usually end up playing the wrong running back. The other choices are Edwards, Hilaire, and that's it, because Patterson's out.
Mm-hmm.
So there really is not much of a choice.
So you think Singletary over Hilaire? I mean, it's the same game.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs can put a little bit of pressure on Allen, and when he does that, he usually likes to check it down.
Okay.
Well, what's the problem? There's been a big problem with the Buffalo games. I mean, look, 38-3, 41-7, and then I mean they just blow everybody out, and then you can't really tell what Buffalo's all about because they're up by such ridiculous margins. They usually yank everybody.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen in this game.
No, this is old-fashioned shootout. And then
I mean, Njoku might actually have a sneakily good game because I mean,
much of a focus from Belichick. I think they're going to focus on stopping Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
And the defenses generally they don't give up anything deep, so I think Njoku could sneakily have a good game.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they do start to apply pressure, like you said, that you think it's going to be to Brisket. I mean, he might have to dump it off to Njoku a bunch of times, so he could have a good game.
Yeah.
And any update on Allen?
This guy has been a joke. I mean, the second quarter of September 11th, he grabbed his hamstring. It's October. October 17th is the next game, and you're still not back? What kind of hamstring tear are we talking about? Did you rip every last fiber off the meat of the bone? Did it roll down your leg? I mean, most people with a hamstring injury are back after, maybe 3 weeks total. This guy's been out a month and a half. I mean, what do the Chargers do? Why don't they just let him go, put him on IR or something so you can have somebody play? I mean, he barely made it through walkthroughs. Today was a walkthrough session. mean, so obviously running and being in a football game is going to be way more intensive than a walkthrough. And he barely made it through the walkthrough. The problem is, if I play this idiot and he sits again, I'm screwed because it's Monday night. Yeah. I mean, I could back up. I could play Kelly, R. Kelly. I mean, he's got 16 points in the last game. I don't know how with Eckler. I mean, how many points did the running backs get? Eckler had 34. He had 16. I'm sure that's not going to happen again. So there's no contingency plan. If you play this buffoon and he doesn't play, then you're just giving Eugene a free spot.
Well, I mean, you're going to play Kelly, but yeah.
Have to play Kelly and just keep your fingers crossed. But Eckler on a banana peel.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with Eugene in this game. I'm sorry.
Well,
I think there's so many question marks that are on your team right now.
The Haglers been able to put together their complete lineup all season long. Okay. The one bright spot I will say, if you look at the points scored, Eugene has scored 650 points, which is second in the league, I believe. Yeah, which is second in the league. Third in the league is the Haglers with 648. We're 2 points behind Eugene. So both teams can put up the numbers. I think
Rod's first for the record.
What's that?
Lightning rods are first for the record.
Yeah, lightning rods are first in the league. But this is 2 versus 3 in points scored this season, which in and of itself is going to be an interesting matchup.
Wow, and we're 1 versus 4. Lightning rods and 1603s are 4.
So a lot of the top point scorers are going up against each other, and we'll see who can sustain their offense and who slips. But in terms of predictions, if Keenan Allen is out, then I have to go with Eugene. If he somehow is able to suit up and make it through walkthroughs, then I'm gonna go with the Haglers.
Interesting. I mean, it's going to be very dependent on that Monday night game. There's a lot of players playing there. So he's got the tight end, Everett. He's got Sutton. He's got the Denver defense. You have Allen or Kelly. So this is, it's.
Well, first of all, we got to get a better player than Kelly. I mean, we're going to have to pick somebody up. Well, but hopefully by then they'll declare Allen out. I'll just pick from the dumpster. But you can't. I mean, Kelly. I mean, no, he's not playing. He's only in there if Eckler's injured.
Yeah, but if he's not making it, well, I mean, you should know tomorrow then whether or not he's going to even make it through walkthroughs. In which case, you could put in, Edwards-Helaire. You could put in Rendell. What's he even done? But he's playing against the Jets. I don't know. You have options.
Yeah,
I think you're going to have to make the decision
for the Monday night game.
I think you're going to have to make the decision based on, the practice that he has tomorrow.
Walkthroughs again,
I mean, if he has any action. I mean, if he's not practicing by Friday, I don't think that he's on the good side of playing. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Even with it being a Monday night game, if he's barely walking.
I mean, how could you be barely walking after 6 weeks from a hamstring injury?
I don't know.
I don't know. This is
the guy. This is the guy. Remember years ago who had the lacerated kidney or whatever. Like, remember how we used to make fun of him for that? He has a knack for finding ways to just injure his body in like ways that nobody else does, and he just stays out forever.
I mean, first of all, at some point the Chargers have to be like, I'm giving up on you.
Well, maybe the Haglers have to be like that. The Chargers are just like, whatever.
I mean, we're treading water at 3-2. If we start losing, I mean, we're gonna have to do something about this guy. He can't be out with a hamstring all season. Like I said, it's just completely torn off the bone.
What was the guy that you had that had like the bone bruise that lasted 2 seasons?
I don't even want to. I don't. I mean, Saquon possibly has a shoulder, but they're saying he's going to play. Hall. I mean, Everett. I mean, last game he got 1.2 points. He's been hot garbage. But Walker, Texas Ranger, we got to see it. His debut.
Yeah.
I mean, if Walker, Texas Ranger, drops an egg, lays an egg out there with Everett, I mean, Eugene could be vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, it leaves him vulnerable, certainly.
It's just.
I'm not saying that there's not opportunity.
I'm just saying if Allen blows it up in that Kansas City game, which we know is anticipated to be a big shootout, and Andre Stevenson is set to have a monster performance too.
Right.
I mean, Eugene could, he could be vulnerable. Now, if Olave's out with a concussion, he wants to be a beach. Singletary doesn't do anything because, let's face it, he hasn't really done squat this season. And Njoku gets neutralized by. I mean, I don't know. It could go either way. I'm going to go Eugene if Allen doesn't play. If Allen suits up, then I'm going to go Hackers.
All right. I still am going Eugene, but we'll see. Either way, even if Allen plays, I'm not saying that I would be surprised if the Hagglers won, but I'm picking Eugene in this game. Either way. But then again, I also like to pick him anyway if it's even remotely close, because then I don't have to hear about it. I don't have to write a 500-page essay the next day. So, All right.
Leeway to pick against him.
Well,
Eugene allow his opponent to pick against him. That can't be against the rules of the supreme magistrate.
Oh, have you not seen Eugene? This is the man who in hockey thinks that if he doesn't play and doesn't make any effort, that he gets the forfeit wins. Who also thinks that every goal that's scored against him is a bullshit goal, but every score that he scores is just a gem to behold. There's no world outside of the narcissistic frame. I don't even know if he listens. I think he does listen to the rest of the podcast. We should throw in little codes like claim this, Eugene, if you for 10% off a player if he even listens to the rest of the podcast. I think he just waits to hear his name. I think he goes through life that way. I think he just waits to hear his name, and then he turns on. It's like his wake word. It's like Alexa. He doesn't even function until he hears Eugene, and he's like, "Hey, Eugene, okay, what?" All right. So who do we have? Who do you have as the lock of the week?
Obviously, anybody playing Odwin.
Sure. I mean, I think, yeah. It's almost cheap just to even be involved in that game. But sure. Your upset of the week.
By a slim margin, Nick and Jamie over Gronky Con.
Yeah.
If they put Marquise Brown in
there. Yeah. Then theoretically wouldn't be an upset. Yeah. I'll go the same. I mean, I'm not even that sure this week, but okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes this episode.
Good luck to you.
Good luck to everyone this week.
Oh, yeah. Good luck to everybody as well, of course.
Mm-hmm. All right. Till next week. Have a good week, everyone.
All right. Peace out.